My name is Amelia, and for most of my life, I learned how to stay calm in rooms where things were about to fall apart. That night was supposed to be easy. New Year's Eve. Dessert on the table. My kids finally sitting still. The TV murmuring in the background as some host in a glittery dress reminded America that midnight was getting closer. My mom's new house smelled like cinnamon candles and store-bought pie, the kind of place that looked perfect if you didn't stay long enough to notice the tension humming underneath. I remember thinking, just get through tonight. That's all I wanted. One normal evening where nobody needed anything from me. We were halfway through dessert when my mom pushed her chair back. Not loudly. Not angrily. Just deliberate. The scraping sound cut through the room sharper than any shout could have. She stood up, lifted her wine glass, and smiled in that tight way she does when she's already decided something and doesn't want questions. And then she said it. We are not babysitting your kids anymore. She didn't look at me when she said it. She looked at the room. At my uncle. At my aunt. At Frank. At the walls. Like she was making an announcement at a company meeting. For a second, nobody moved. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. My girls stopped chewing. Haley's eyes flicked from me to my mom, trying to read the adults the way kids do when something feels wrong but they don't yet have the words for it. My mom took a sip of her wine and continued, slower this time. No more babysitting. No more late nights. No more being your backup plan. The words landed heavy. Public. Final. I felt heat crawl up my neck, the familiar warning sign that I was about to either cry or explode. Neither felt acceptable with my kids sitting right there. So I did what ICU nurses do. I stayed calm. Seriously, Mom? I said, keeping my voice steady. She shrugged. Actually shrugged. I'm retired. I deserve my freedom. That's when something inside me shifted. Because freedom, apparently, meant erasing everything I did for her without even the courtesy of a private conversation. I set my fork down carefully. Okay, I said. Then let's be clear. Now she looked at me. If you're done babysitting, I continued, then I'm done too. The room went even quieter. No more middle-of-the-night rides to the doctor. No more grocery runs. No more fixing things around the house. No more handling your insurance calls, pharmacy mix-ups, or HOA emails. Her smile faltered. You can't cut me off, I said, and still expect me to be your on-call chauffeur and handyman. Someone cleared their throat. Someone else stared very hard at their plate. Nobody said a word for me. That hurt more than her announcement. I looked around the table, at people who had watched me show up for years and suddenly found the tablecloth fascinating. That's when I knew there was nothing left to say. I stood up. Girls, I said gently, put your shoes on. My mom opened her mouth. Closed it. Took another sip instead. I didn't wait for permission. I grabbed my coat, helped Haley into hers, lifted Sophie down from her chair, and walked toward the door. Behind us, the TV started counting. 10, 9. The front door slammed shut just as the room inside erupted into cheers. Out on the driveway, the air was cold and sharp, desert cold that hits your lungs all at once. Haley sniffled as she struggled with her zipper. Is Grandma mad at us? She asked softly. I crouched down and zipped her jacket with shaking fingers. No, baby, I said. She's not mad at you. Sophie kicked her little boots against the concrete. Did we do something wrong? I swallowed hard. You did nothing wrong. Ever. I buckled them into the car, climbed into the driver's seat, and sat there for a moment with my hands on the wheel, staring at my mom's perfectly lit house. The house I had helped make livable. The driveway I had helped pay for. The life I had quietly kept running. She didn't come out. Neither did Frank. As I pulled away, fireworks cracked somewhere in the distance, celebrating a new year I wasn't sure I was ready for. At the red light outside her subdivision, I caught Haley's eyes in the rearview mirror. She was blinking hard, trying not to cry. And in that moment, standing at the edge of a year that hadn't even started yet, I realized something that made my chest ache. I hadn't just been cut off. I had been dismissed. And whatever came next wasn't going to look like the past anymore. The streets were almost empty by the time we reached the main road, just scattered fireworks popping in the distance like someone else's celebration leaking into our silence. Inside the car, no one spoke at first. The heater hummed softly. The dashboard clock rolled past midnight without ceremony. A new year arrived with no countdown, no hugs, no noise, just headlights stretching forward and the weight of everything unsaid sitting between us. Haley finally broke the silence. "Mom, are we still family?" The question hit me harder than anything my mother had said. "Yes," I answered immediately. "We are a family. You and me and Sophie. Always." She nodded, but I could tell she was filing the moment away, the way kids do when they realize adults aren't as safe or predictable as they once thought. By the time we pulled into our apartment complex, the parking lot was nearly empty. I carried Sophie inside, her head already heavy on my shoulder, and helped Haley change into pajamas with fireworks still flashing faintly outside the window. We ate reheated mac and cheese out of mismatched bowls. I poured sparkling juice into coffee mugs and forced a smile. "Happy New Year," I whispered. They clinked their cups together and smiled back, small and tired, and for a moment I let myself believe that was enough. After they fell asleep, I sat alone on the couch, scrolling through my phone. And that's when I saw it. My mom had already posted a photo of her dining table. Everyone smiling. Glasses raised. Captioned, "New Year, new boundaries." Dizzy. The comments were full of praise. "Good for you. You deserve peace. About time you put yourself first." I stared at the screen, feeling something cold settle in my stomach. Because according to that post, I was the problem. I didn't comment. I didn't react. I set my phone down and went to bed telling myself I would deal with it in the morning. I had no idea what dealing with it would actually mean. When I woke up, my phone was vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. I grabbed it, still half asleep, and froze. 48 missed calls. 17 voicemails. Dozens of texts. All from my mom. All between 6:12 a.m. and 7:03 a.m. The first voicemail was frantic. "Maddie, call me. Right now." The second was sharper. "This is not funny. Fix whatever you did." By the fifth, her voice was shaking. "They froze my accounts. I can't pay anything. I don't know what's happening." My heart started pounding. I scrolled through the texts. "Why are my cards declined? Did you mess with something? The bank says you authorized this. You're humiliating me." And that's when I understood. The night before, when she announced she was done helping me, she thought the arrangement only worked one way. She forgot something important. I was the one who handled the accounts. The shared expenses. The linked payments. The temporary cards in my name that had quietly become permanent. For years, I told myself it was easier to just manage everything. That morning, I realized it also meant I had control. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone buzzing in my hand, and took a slow breath. For the first time in a very long time, I didn't rush to fix it. Instead, I listened to all 48 missed calls. And with every voicemail, one thing became clearer. She wasn't calling to apologize. She was calling because she needed me. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I was going to answer. I didn't call her back. I got the girls dressed for school. Packed lunches. Braided Sophie's hair while Haley read spelling words at the kitchen table. The world didn't stop just because my mother was panicking. And that was new. By 8:15 a.m., my phone had gone quiet. Not calm, quiet in the way a storm pauses before changing direction. Then the messages started again. Different names this time. My aunt. My cousin. Even my mom's neighbor. Your mom is really upset. She doesn't understand what she did wrong. Family doesn't punish family like this. I stared at the screen, feeling that familiar pressure, the roles snapping back into place. The fixer. The peacekeeper. The one who smooths things over so everyone else can stay comfortable. I typed a response. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Instead, I dropped the girls off, kissed their foreheads, and went to work. The ICU was busy, the kind of busy that doesn't leave room for emotional spirals. Alarms, charting, families asking impossible questions. Somewhere between adjusting a ventilator and calling a code, I realized something uncomfortable. I felt lighter. Not happy. Not relieved. But unburdened. On my lunch break, I finally checked my voicemail again. The tone had changed. Maddie. I didn't mean it like that. I was just overwhelmed. You know how people are watching. That last one made me laugh. A short, humorless sound. People were always watching her. People were never watching me. At 2:47 p.m., one text came through that stopped me cold. Mom, I guess I know where I stand now. I stared at it for a long time. Because that was exactly what I had learned the night before. I didn't respond. Instead, after my shift ended, I drove past her neighborhood without turning in. Past the gates. Past the house I'd helped her buy. Past the life I'd been quietly propping up. When I got home, Haley was doing homework at the table. Did Grandma call again? She asked carefully. Yes, I said. Are you going to fix it? I knelt in front of her, met her eyes. I'm going to fix what matters. She thought about that. Then nodded. That night, after the girls were asleep, I opened my laptop. I pulled up every shared account. Every payment history. Every message where I'd confirmed, I'll take care of it. I didn't shut everything down. I reorganized it. Separated what was mine. Canceled what wasn't my responsibility. Documented everything. And then, only then, I sent my mother one message. Me, I'm available to talk tomorrow at 6 p.m. We'll go over boundaries and finances. If that doesn't work for you, that's okay. No apology. No explanation. No reassurance. I closed the laptop and went to bed. For the first time since becoming a mom, since becoming a nurse, since becoming the reliable one, I slept through the night. She called at 6:01 p.m. the next day. And this time, I was ready. I let it ring twice before answering. Amelia, my mom said, her voice already tight. I don't understand why you're doing this. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't defend myself. I didn't soften it either. We're not starting with why, I said. We're starting with what changed. There was a pause. A small, irritated breath. I just said we couldn't babysit anymore, she replied. I'm allowed to set boundaries. You are, I said calmly. And so am I. She scoffed. This feels extreme. Standing up in front of my kids and announcing they're a burden wasn't extreme? I asked. Telling me I'm cut off while still expecting me to be on call for everything else? I never said that, she snapped. You didn't have to, I answered. Your actions already did. Silence stretched between us. I could picture her sitting at her kitchen counter, the same one I'd helped choose, probably pacing, probably convinced this conversation would end with me folding. She tried a new angle. I was overwhelmed, she said. Frank doesn't help the way he promised. Your sister never steps up. And everyone just expects me to manage. I closed my eyes for a moment. That's how I've felt for years, I said. The difference is, I never humiliated you in front of my kids. Her voice softened. You know I love them. Then don't talk about them like they're a chore, I replied. I didn't think you'd actually leave, she admitted. There it was. The truth she didn't mean to say out loud. You didn't think I'd have self-respect, I said gently. That's not the same thing. Her breathing changed. Faster now. So what, you're punishing me, she asked. Because if that's what this is. No, I interrupted. I'm adjusting my life to match reality. She didn't like that answer. What reality, she demanded. The one where I handle my responsibilities and you handle yours, I said. I'm not your backup system anymore. She exhaled sharply. You're really going to do this? Yes. And what about the girls, she asked quickly. They need family. They need stability, I said. And respect. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, quieter, I didn't expect this. I know, I replied. I did. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat there holding my phone, heart racing, not from fear, but from the strange clarity that comes when something finally breaks clean. 10 minutes later, my sister texted. Sister, Mom is crying. You went too far. I typed back once. Me, I went exactly far enough. That night, I posted one photo on Facebook. Just a picture of me and the girls on the couch, pizza boxes open, movie paused mid-scene. The caption was simple. New year. New rules. Same love. By morning, it had more comments than anything I'd ever posted. And at the top of my notifications. 48 missed calls. All from my mom. She finally understood. But understanding came too late to undo what she'd already done. I didn't call her back. Not right away. I made breakfast instead. Pancakes from a box. Extra syrup. The kind of slow, ordinary morning I almost never get after night shifts. Haley sat at the table coloring, Sophie stacked pancakes like it was her life's work. The world felt quiet. Steady. My phone buzzed again. Another missed call. Then a text. Mom, please answer. This is getting out of hand. I stared at it for a long second before setting the phone face down. For the first time in years, I let myself ask a hard question. What happens if I don't fix this? The answer scared me. But it also felt like relief. By noon, the messages had shifted tone. Mom, I didn't mean it the way it sounded. Mom, you know I was joking. Mom, the girls took it the wrong way. That one made my chest tighten. I picked up the phone and typed slowly. Me, they didn't take it the wrong way. They took it the way you said it. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Mom, you're making me look like a bad grandmother. I laughed once. A short, sharp sound that surprised even me. Me, I didn't post anything about you. No reply. An hour later, my aunt called. Then my cousin. Then Frank left a voicemail saying, let's all calm down and talk like adults. That was when I realized something important. They weren't upset about what was said. They were upset that I didn't quietly absorb it like I always had. That afternoon, Haley climbed onto the couch beside me. Are we in trouble? She asked softly. No, I said without hesitation. We're safe. She nodded, then asked, are we still family? I wrapped my arm around her shoulders. Yes, I said. But family doesn't get to hurt you and call it love. She leaned into me, and that was it. Decision made. Line drawn. At 6:47 p.m., I finally answered my mom's call. She sounded exhausted. Hoarse. Frantic. Thank God, she said. I was starting to think you'd blocked me. I haven't, I replied. But I won't be yelled at either. I just want things to go back to normal, she said. I breathed in. Normal for who? I asked. For us, she said quickly. For the family. No, I corrected. Normal for you. She went quiet. I can't do that anymore, I continued. I'm done being the solution to problems I didn't create. So what do you want? She asked, voice sharp now. I didn't hesitate. I want respect, I said. For me and my kids. No announcements. No guilt. No expectations you haven't earned. And if I can't promise that? She asked. Then we take space, I replied. You'd really keep the girls from me? I closed my eyes. No, I said carefully. Your behavior will. She started crying then. Real tears this time. Or maybe just louder ones. I didn't know anymore. I never meant to hurt you, she said. I know, I answered. But you did. We hung up without a resolution. But for the first time, I didn't feel like I'd lost something. I felt like I'd stopped losing myself. And that was when the next morning came. With the post that changed everything. I woke up before my alarm. That alone told me something was wrong. My phone was face down on the nightstand, vibrating like it had a pulse of its own. When I picked it up, the screen lit up with notification after notification. Missed calls. Texts. Tags. Mentions. 48 missed calls. From my mom. From Frank. From my aunt. From cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. And then I saw why. Sometime around 2 a.m., while the rest of the city was asleep, my mother had made a post. A long one. A black background. White text. The kind people use when they want sympathy without facts. It started with, I never thought I'd see the day my own daughter would punish me for setting boundaries. My stomach dropped. She wrote about how hard it was to be a grandmother. How exhausted she was. How she had given everything and was now being treated like a villain for finally saying no. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew. Comments were already stacked underneath. You did nothing wrong. Kids today feel entitled to free childcare. Grandparents deserve peace too. I read it once. Then again. My hands were shaking, but not the way they used to when I felt small. This was different. Clear. Focused. She had framed herself as the victim. And for the first time, I didn't rush to correct it privately. I scrolled. Then I noticed something else. Someone had asked, didn't Amelia help you nonstop after your surgery? Another comment, wasn't she the one driving you to appointments every week? My mom hadn't replied to those. I opened the post. Hit comment. I typed slowly. Carefully. No insults. No emotion bait. Just facts. Me, I didn't leave because you said no to babysitting. I left because you announced it in front of my children like they were a burden. 4 months before that, I drove 30 to 40 minutes after 12-hour ICU shifts to help you with appointments, groceries, home repairs, and paperwork. We had an agreement. You ended it publicly. I respected that and adjusted. Please don't rewrite it. I hit post. Then I put the phone down and went to make coffee. When I came back, the screen was on fire. Notifications were coming in faster than I could read them. Some people defended her. But more didn't. Screenshots of old posts started resurfacing. Posts where she had bragged about my help. Thank you comments she had written herself. Photos of my kids in her backyard with captions about how lucky she was to have support. The story she told at 2 a.m. didn't match the evidence. And the internet noticed. My mom called. Again. I didn't answer. Frank texted, you didn't have to embarrass her like this. I replied once. I didn't embarrass her. I corrected the record. By noon, the original post was gone. Deleted. But the screenshots weren't. That afternoon, my aunt finally said what no one else would. You didn't attack her, she admitted quietly over the phone. You just stopped protecting her. That night, Haley asked if Grandma was mad. I knelt in front of her and said the truth. Grandma is learning that words have consequences. Is she still our grandma? Sophie asked. Yes, I said. But that doesn't mean she gets to decide our worth. They nodded. Kids understand fairness better than adults sometimes. I tucked them in. Turned off the lights. And as I lay in the dark, phone finally silent, one thing was clear. The calls weren't about babysitting anymore. They were about control. And the next part? That's when my mother realized she no longer had it. I didn't call her back. Not that day. Not the next. And that's when the panic really started. At first, the messages were angry. You're being dramatic. This is tearing the family apart. You've always been too sensitive. Then they shifted. Can we talk? I didn't mean it like that. You know how stressed I've been. By day 3, the tone changed completely. I miss the girls. They don't deserve this. I just want things back to normal. Normal. That word finally sounded as hollow to me as it always had. Normal meant I bent. Normal meant I fixed things quietly. Normal meant my kids learned that love was conditional and loud shame was acceptable. So I stayed silent. And that silence did something no argument ever could. Without me answering calls, no groceries showed up at her door. No rides to appointments were scheduled. No HOA emails were magically handled. No late-night pharmacy runs happened. Life didn't fall apart. But it got inconvenient. She had to wait on hold with insurance herself. Frank had to rearrange his schedule. My sister, who lived 15 minutes away, suddenly had to step in. That's when the resentment spread. Not toward me. Toward her. Because once I stopped absorbing the load, everyone else felt it. A week later, my sister texted. Sister, I didn't realize how much you actually did. I stared at that sentence for a long time before replying. Me, either did Mom. 2 weeks passed. Then came the letter. Not a text. Not a call. A letter. Handwritten. I recognized her slanted cursive immediately. She wrote about feeling abandoned. About not knowing how things got so bad. About being blindsided. But buried halfway down the second page was the sentence that changed everything. I think I expected you to always be there, no matter what I said. I folded the letter slowly. That wasn't an apology. But it was the first honest thing she'd ever admitted. I didn't rush to respond. I read it again that night after the girls were asleep. Then I placed it in a drawer. Not as a trophy. As a reminder. 3 days later, she finally left a voicemail that didn't ask for anything. I'm trying to figure out how to be different, she said. I don't know if I can. But I see now that I broke something. I sat at my kitchen table listening to it twice. And for the first time, I believed her fear was real. What I didn't do. Run to comfort her. Growth doesn't happen when consequences disappear. It happens when people sit with them. And the hardest part for her was still coming. Because the next time we saw each other, the rules were going to be very different. We didn't meet at her house. That alone told me she understood something had shifted. She asked to meet at a coffee shop halfway between our places. Neutral ground. Public. No home field advantage. I arrived 10 minutes early. Sat near the window. Ordered a black coffee. When she walked in, she looked smaller. Not older. Just uncertain. She hesitated when she saw me, like she wasn't sure if a hug was allowed. I stayed seated. She took the chair across from me and folded her hands on the table. I've been thinking, she started. I waited. She talked about stress. About feeling taken for granted. About being overwhelmed since retiring. About not realizing how her words landed. I listened without interrupting. When she finally stopped, she looked at me like she was bracing for impact. I shouldn't have said it in front of the girls, she said. That was wrong. It wasn't a full apology. But it was closer than I'd ever heard. I nodded once. You didn't just say it, I replied calmly. You announced it. You made it a performance. Her eyes filled. I didn't think you'd walk out. I didn't think you'd humiliate my kids, I said. No heat. Just truth. She swallowed. I don't want to lose them, she said. That's not up to you, I answered gently. That depends on how safe they feel around you. She flinched. I miss helping you, she added. I miss being needed. There it was. The quiet truth underneath everything. I didn't need you to fix my life, I said. I needed you to respect it. She nodded slowly. I can't promise I'll be perfect, she said. I'm not asking for perfect, I replied. I'm asking for consistency. She reached into her purse and slid something across the table. A printed calendar. Highlighted dates. I can watch the girls these days, she said carefully. If you want. No announcements. No conditions. Just if it works for you. I didn't touch it. Let's start smaller, I said. Short visits. Together. No assumptions. Her shoulders dropped, not in defeat, but in understanding. I'll follow your lead, she said quietly. That was new. We finished our drinks. No hug. No grand forgiveness moment. Just a quiet reset. When I stood to leave, she said, Happy New Year, Amelia. I paused. Happy New Year, I replied. And I meant it. Because for the first time, the year wasn't starting with me carrying everyone else. It was starting with boundaries. The calls didn't stop all at once. They slowed. Which, in my family, was how you knew something real had changed. For years, my phone had been the emergency button. If something broke, if someone panicked, if plans fell apart, it rang. And I answered. Always. Even when I was exhausted. Even when my girls were asleep. Even when I told myself just this once would be the last time. After the coffee shop, that pattern didn't work anymore. The first real test came a week later. I was halfway through folding laundry when my phone lit up with my mom's name. I let it ring. Not out of anger. Out of intention. She didn't leave a frantic voicemail. She sent a text instead. Do you know how to submit the insurance form online? I can't figure it out. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed back. I don't. But the number is on the back of your card. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Okay, she replied. That was it. No guilt. No follow-up call. No escalation. It felt small. But it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, the requests kept coming, but they changed shape. She asked instead of assumed. She waited instead of demanded. And sometimes, she figured it out herself. The girls saw her again, slowly. Short visits. Neutral places. I stayed the whole time. She watched what she said. Not perfectly. But carefully. And that mattered. One night, Haley climbed into bed with me and asked, Is Grandma nicer now? I thought about it. She's trying, I said honestly. Is that enough? She asked. I smiled into her hair. It's a start. The real ending didn't come with an apology speech or a family meeting. It came quietly. 3 months later, on a random Tuesday, I realized something. I hadn't heard from my mom in over a week. Not because she was angry. Not because she was punishing me. But because she didn't need me to manage her life anymore. And for the first time, that didn't make me feel guilty. It made me feel free. On New Year's Eve the next year, it was just me and the girls again. Pizza. Pajamas. The countdown on TV. At midnight, Sophie raised her juice cup and said, "To us." I clinked mine against hers. "To us," I echoed. My phone stayed quiet. No missed calls. No emergencies. No drama. Just peace. And that's how I knew. Walking away that night wasn't the moment I lost my family. It was the moment I stopped losing myself.